Gary here with AinitCool.com, coming to you from my friendly neighborhood local comic book shop, The Gatekeeper, here in Topeka, Kansas. Talking with one of the owners, Dustin Dean. Dustin, what we got on the pull list this week?
Well, the first thing I pulled out of my pull list was Uncanny XMen #1. It's part of the Regenesis relaunch with the whole X line that's getting a kind of a fresh start and a new look and everything. Now, last week, Wolverine and the X-Men launched with the reopening of the sort of Westminster School with Shadowcat and Wolverine as the, head teachers. Now, the rest of, or some of the other mutants have stayed behind in Utopia near San Francisco and are relaunching in a very different way. They do have kind of a school dynamic going on, but they have a lot of supervillains on the team. And their team, they're calling themselves internally, is the Extinction Squad. So it's got a completely different flavor, and it's actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Uncanny X-Force, where it's a little more militant. And while I wouldn't call it like a military school, it's obviously not quite the same as Xavier's school for gifted mutants.
How's it stacking up against the other X books?
I really don't care for the lineup, honestly. Part of that is that there is so many characters that aren't, I don't think work well together. And there's a few on there that I do like. I like Colossus. I don't like Colossus as Colossus Juggernaut. I do like Magic. I do like Cyclops, but, it's tough to, kind of pull for Magneto and, some of the other characters. And like Namor being an X-Men, has been interesting, but I wish they'd just kind of let him go out of the X books.
Well, what else we got this week?
Well, we've got Hawk and Dove #3 from DC, and if you like 90s comics, you are going to love Hawk and Dove #3. I mean, it is Rob Liefeld, which already kind of gives it that sort of vibe to it, but it's speed lines, it's 80s movie dialogue, it's kicking and punching their way through the plot, and it's kind of fun. It's not too serious. There's a little bit of setup for, I think, some hints at maybe a mega plot, but I just kept every page. I was like, boy, this just takes me back. This takes me back to X-Force #1. This takes me back to Youngblood and those kind of books. So.
Yeah, now, we got Rob Liefeld here, and some of that, his art is, you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
I hear many more people hating it than loving it. Has it been a detraction for you, or is it adding to the flavor?
I think it adds to the flavor, but I really think the Liefeld hate is kind of undeserved. Yeah, he, got in trouble for tracing, but I think his heart was always in the right place, and he was always trying really hard. And now he's doing 2 books. He's doing The Infinite and Hawk and Dove. And again, I think, he's trying as hard as he can to make a cool comic book. And, not a lot of guys are doing that. A lot of them are a little spiteful of fanboys. And certainly he's got every reason to be spiteful back at the audience that's obviously had turned against him, that once loved him. And so I think that the Rob Liefeld hate's over the top. I think we should just put an end to it and let the poor guy draw comic books.
Well, and what's the third comic we got this week?
The third from the independent side is The Wizard of Oz, The Wicked West, which is a retelling of The Wizard of Oz in a Wild West setting. It's a lot of the same characters so far. It's a very similar plot. Toto is a horse this time. The Tin Man is a tin-starred sheriff. There are even flying monkeys, and saloon gals are kind of the Lollipop Guild. And it's just getting kicked off and sort of reacclimating the audience to, hey, this is Dorothy, but here's what's new and different, and here's how it's different.
Now, is this more of a gimmick, or do you think this is actually going somewhere with the storyline?
It's pretty early to guess how the whole thing's going to unfold, but I'm assuming there's going to be the Wizard of Oz, and it's just different. Not that it's bad, and I guess I can't quite make up my mind on whether I like it or not. Obviously, the Wizard of Oz is kind of in vogue, especially with the Scotty Young Marvel line that's top notch. that, you know, hey, let's put out another Dorothy book. And this certainly has its own unique stamp, which, you know, a lot of writers make their bread and butter by just taking something that's already established and twisting it to another genre. So I think I'm going to read the next issue, but it hasn't hooked me yet.
So it's still on the fence a little bit.
I'm still a little on the fence on that one.
Cool, cool. Well, we'll definitely check back in with you next week. And please keep checking back in with ain'titcool.com for latest news and reviews. I'm John Airy with Dusty Dean.